Tonight, a landmark court decision has sent shockwaves through the world of international trade, as a federal judge has officially struck down the controversial Trump-era tariffs. These tariffs, which have been at the center of heated debate for years, are now history, marking a dramatic turning point in U.S. economic policy and signaling the possible end of an era defined by protectionism and trade wars. This ruling fundamentally reshapes U.S. trade policy, opening the door to a new chapter in America's relationship with the global economy. For years, these tariffs imposed steep taxes on imported goods, affecting everything from electronics to raw materials, and sparking retaliatory measures from trading partners around the world. The U.S. Court of International Trade's decision dismantles a core pillar of the America First agenda, effectively ending years of escalating trade tensions and uncertainty for businesses both at home and abroad. The ruling is being hailed as a victory for those who have long argued that such tariffs were not only unlawful, but also harmful to the broader economy. Thousands of American companies, from small family-run businesses to major corporations, challenged the tariffs in court, insisting they were imposed without proper legal authority and resulted in higher costs, lost jobs, and disrupted supply chains. Today, the court sided with these businesses, agreeing that the tariffs were both economically damaging and legally questionable. The immediate effect is sweeping. Import taxes are canceled, and shipments that were once subject to heavy duties can now enter the country freely. This move is expected to bring significant relief to importers and exporters alike, who have struggled to navigate the complex web of tariffs and trade restrictions. For everyday Americans, this promises lower costs at the checkout counter, as the prices of imported goods, from groceries to electronics, are expected to drop. Consumers may soon feel the impact in their wallets, with more affordable products and greater variety on store shelves. Industries that depend on global supply chains, such as manufacturing, retail, and technology, are also breathing a sigh of relief. The removal of tariffs means reduced production costs, improved competitiveness, and the potential for job growth as companies ramp up operations. This pivotal moment is forcing a national conversation about the limits of presidential authority in setting trade policy. Lawmakers, legal experts, and business leaders are now debating how much power the executive branch should have over international commerce, and whether Congress should play a larger role in shaping the nation's economic future. The future of American commerce hangs in the balance. Will the U.S. embrace a more open, globally integrated economy, or will new barriers emerge in response to shifting political winds? The answers will shape the nation's prosperity for years to come. The fallout from this decision will be debated everywhere, from factory floors and boardrooms to the halls of Congress and nightly news panels. Stakeholders across the country are weighing the potential benefits and risks as the nation grapples with the implications of this historic ruling. As the United States reconsiders its role in a rapidly changing global marketplace, one thing is clear. The end of these tariffs marks not just a legal victory, but the beginning of a new era in American trade and economic policy. To understand today's ruling, we must revisit the origins of these tariffs. They were a signature Trump policy aimed at rebalancing trade and protecting U.S. manufacturing. Justified under Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974, the administration targeted China's trade practices, then expanded tariffs to steel, aluminum, and a wide range of consumer goods. Retaliation from China, the EU, Canada, and Mexico sparked a global trade war, disrupting businesses and raising prices for American families. Supporters saw the tariffs as defending American jobs. Critics warned of higher costs and economic instability. This deep division set the stage for the legal battle that led to today's historic decision. Over 3,600 American importers united to challenge the tariffs, arguing the administration exceeded its legal authority. Their case hinged on missed deadlines and the claim that later tariffs were new actions requiring fresh investigations. Businesses detailed how tariffs raised costs, disrupted supply chains, and threatened jobs. The lawsuit, in Section 301 cases, became one of the largest challenges to presidential trade power in modern history. Plaintiffs weren't just seeking refunds, they wanted a return to predictable, rules-based trade. Their persistence paid off. The court's ruling invalidated the tariffs and set a new legal precedent. The victory marks a turning point for American businesses and trade law. The tariffs imposed during the trade war created a landscape of clear winners and losers, reshaping the American economy in ways that are still being felt today. While the intention was to protect domestic industries and level the playing field, the reality proved far more complex, with ripple effects touching nearly every sector. U.S. steel and aluminum producers were among the most visible beneficiaries. With foreign competition facing steep tariffs, these industries saw a surge in demand for their products. Prices rose, and some long-shuttered plants reopened, bringing back jobs to certain communities and fueling optimism in regions that had struggled for years. However, for most American manufacturers, the story was quite different. Many rely on imported materials like steel, aluminum, and electronic components. The tariffs drove up their costs, forcing them to either absorb the losses or pass them on to consumers. As a result, everyday Americans began to notice higher prices on a wide range of goods, from cars and appliances to groceries and electronics. Farmers, in particular, were hit hard. Retaliatory tariffs from other countries, especially China, slashed demand for American agricultural exports like soybeans and pork. Prices for these crops plummeted, leaving many farmers facing financial ruin. The U.S. government responded with billions of dollars in aid, but for many, it was only a temporary lifeline. Studies show that, overall, the tariffs led to job losses in sectors that depend on imported goods and materials. Despite hopes that the trade war would spark a manufacturing renaissance, there was little evidence of significant job growth in the targeted industries. In fact, some factories closed or downsized, unable to cope with the higher costs and global uncertainty. The policy also created widespread uncertainty, discouraging businesses from investing in new equipment or expanding operations. Consumers, meanwhile, faced higher prices for everyday goods, straining household budgets and dampening economic confidence. While the trade war was intended to protect American industry and jobs, the reality was widespread disruption and economic pain for many. Communities dependent on exports or global supply chains suffered, and families across the country felt the pinch in their wallets. In the end, the costs of the trade war outweighed its benefits for most Americans. The policy's legacy is one of higher prices, lost jobs, and a lingering sense of uncertainty about the future of American trade and industry. The court's decision focused on whether the executive branch followed the rules set by Congress. Judges found the government missed key deadlines and imposed new tariffs without proper legal justification. The ruling reaffirmed that presidential power in trade is not absolute; it must follow the law. By sidestepping Congress, the administration overreached. This decision signals courts will scrutinize future trade actions more closely. Future presidents will need clear authority and strict adherence to procedure. The ruling is a powerful check on executive power in trade policy. The business community cheered the court's decision. Trade groups called it a victory, expecting lower costs and renewed investment. Wall Street rallied, with stocks in retail and tech surging on hopes of stable supply chains. However, steel and aluminum industries warned of renewed competition from cheap imports, fearing job losses. The ruling brings relief, but also new challenges, as companies seek refunds for billions paid in tariffs. The scars of the trade war remain, but optimism is returning. Businesses hope for a more predictable, less adversarial trade environment. The decision marks a turning point for American industry. In Washington, the ruling exposed deep political divisions. The White House responded cautiously, reviewing its options. Democrats and moderate Republicans praised the decision as a win for the rule of law and global cooperation. Many Republicans condemned it, defending tariffs as vital for national security and urging an appeal. The debate over protectionism versus free trade is far from settled. Trade policy remains a central, contentious issue in American politics. The court's decision was welcomed by America's trading partners. This ruling has been seen as a pivotal moment in international trade relations, offering a glimmer of hope to nations that have been navigating the turbulent waters of trade disputes. The decision is not just a legal victory, but a potential catalyst for economic rejuvenation across borders. Officials in Europe and Asia saw it as a step toward de-escalating trade tensions and restoring global stability. The anticipation is palpable, as these regions have long sought a resolution that would allow for smoother economic interactions. The decision is viewed as a bridge to mend fractured relationships and foster a more collaborative global economy. Foreign exporters expect renewed access to the U.S. market, boosting sales and normalizing trade flows. This access is crucial for many economies that rely heavily on exports to the United States. The potential for increased trade activity is expected to invigorate industries and create jobs, providing a much-needed boost to economic growth. Yet, many remain cautious, waiting to see if the U.S. will appeal or shift policy again. The uncertainty of future U.S. actions keeps businesses on edge as they weigh the risks of investing in a market that could change with the political winds. Analysts are closely monitoring the situation, advising companies to proceed with caution while remaining optimistic about the possibilities. Some countries are holding off on lifting their own tariffs until U.S. policy is clear. This hesitancy reflects a broader strategy of waiting for concrete assurances before making significant policy shifts. The global community is keenly aware that premature actions could lead to further complications, so patience is being exercised as negotiations continue. Rebuilding trust will take time, but the ruling opens the door for renewed dialogue. Diplomatic channels are being reactivated, with countries eager to engage in discussions that could lead to more comprehensive trade agreements. The focus is on creating a sustainable framework that benefits all parties involved, ensuring long-term stability and prosperity. Allies hope the U.S. will re-engage in global trade forums to address shared challenges. These forums are seen as vital platforms for collaboration, where nations can come together to tackle issues such as climate change, technological advancements, and economic inequality. The hope is that the U.S. will take a leadership role in these discussions, setting the stage for a more unified approach to global challenges. The world is watching to see if this marks a lasting shift toward cooperation. The decision has sparked widespread interest, with media outlets around the globe covering the developments closely. The potential for a new era of cooperation is on the horizon, and the international community is eager to see if this moment will lead to enduring change in the way nations interact economically. With the tariffs overturned, America faces a crossroads in trade policy. The White House must decide whether to appeal or accept the ruling and chart a new course. Options include returning to multilateral diplomacy, negotiating new trade agreements, or seeking new legal authority for protectionist measures. The outcome will define presidential power in trade for years to come. The debate over protectionism versus global cooperation is just beginning anew. The future of U.S. trade and its role in the world hangs in the balance.